Welcome back to Good Morning KU. I'm Chris.
I'm Nick.
Today is Election Day, November 6th. Have you guys been out to vote? Nick, have you been out to vote?
Yes, I have been out to. I voted absentee ballot in Illinois.
So did I. So I had to send my absentee about 5 days ago because that was the deadline.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a bunch of other states' absentees are, depending on which state you're from, it could be 16 days in advance. It could be same day. You could do it online. There's so many different ways we could vote.
Yeah, definitely. But make sure you do go out and vote today if you haven't yet. It's great to take part in your democracy.
Yes, definitely get your voice heard and be a part of our country. And now we'll go to Madison, who is currently at a voting registration center on KU's campus. Hey Madison, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Are there a lot of people there voting?
As of right now, it's not too busy. The polling station is actually just inside the Bird Union. And I stepped inside there a few minutes ago, and there wasn't a long line, but there's a few people waiting around. But I assume that'll probably pick up as we move later into this afternoon.
That means go vote, people. We have it here on campus, and we are not seeing a
Absolutely.
big turnout. But thank you, and we'll see you when we go to the weather. Thanks, Madison. So, what else has been going on with you this past weekend?
Nothing much. Worked the football game over the weekend. That was kind of a disappointing result. But other than that, we've got basketball to look forward to tonight. I know it's been shrouded with all the election coverage, but actually college basketball tips off tonight.
Yes.
KU takes on Michigan State at 6 o'clock tonight, so that should be a great game.
It should be. All of our KU fans, after we get out and vote, let's definitely go watch the game and support our fellow Jayhawks.
Yeah, definitely.
And not according to you, but how do you feel about the decision with Coach Beatty?
Coach Beatty? I thought it was a little awkward because imagine being Coach Beatty, knowing that you're not going to be coaching for the rest of the season. I wouldn't be able to walk into work if I'm Coach Beatty. All props to him. He's able to walk into work and keep the same mentality going because that would just be too tough for me to keep going to work.
Okay. Well, I thought it would be awkward too just because he has to finish out the season. And yes, like you said, props to him for being able to show up and being able to support us as a community, as a school, and as a football team.
Yeah.
After this, we'll come back with an interview with a candidate. Thank you.
When you shop local in the heart of the city, you support the people that make our community thrive. The money you spend here stays here, in this place we call our home. Lawrence, Kansas, where there's good old-fashioned hometown pride. Eat local, drink local, shop local.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Jordan Nicole, and I'm here with the lovely Thea Perry. Hello.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Of course. How are you doing today?
I'm tired, but very excited for tomorrow.
Yes. I am first, thank you for coming on to do the interview. I'm so excited to have you here. And I just wanted to talk about your story and how you got into politics. I feel like not too many people know that you survived cancer.
That's true. I started out the beginning of this year actually planning the second Women's March in Topeka because I wanted to help elect women candidates to office, and so we invited several people, Marcy Francisco, and who's now running for treasurer, and Laura Kelly, and Sharice Davids, who hadn't announced that she was running yet, but we knew her a little bit. But I didn't put myself up there because I was waiting on test results, and so a couple of weeks after that, I was diagnosed with cancer and went through treatment. A couple of people approached me over the course of the spring and said, would you be interested in running for office? And I said, well, let me just wait and see if I have to do chemo, and then we'll talk.
Oh, wow.
And was lucky enough because I had insurance. I was able to get through it.
Yeah.
And it was diagnosed early, and I had great care. But what I spent my time doing this spring while I was going through treatment was going to the Topeka State House and doing what I did last year, advocating
Wow.
for Medicaid expansion,
Yeah.
because the state is missing out on almost $3 billion at this point of money from the federal government that we could be using to help provide care for people in Kansas.
Wow.
And it's overwhelmingly popular, just not with the people who are in charge in Topeka right now. And so I decided that maybe I needed to be one of those people in Topeka to make it happen.
I like that you were very proactive in your approach, because oftentimes you hear people complaining about people in positions of high authority, or, you know, if I was in that position, I would do this. And I feel like, you know, you just took it upon yourself to be like, well, I'm going to go and be in this position. So did you ever like question yourself, like, do I have all the right skills or criteria, or were you just like, I'm just going to go for it and see what happens?
I think it's something that I've been preparing myself for several years without really knowing it. I've been doing a lot of work in the community, and actually across the state and even into DC, teaching people how to be better self-advocates. And you know, I go out to Western Kansas and do work. I've went and met with our senator in DC. I've done lots and lots of community organizing, and I think that the skills that I learned there helped me become more comfortable with the idea. You have to do, I think that leaders have to do, I think, a lot of internal work, because whatever baggage you're carrying, you're going to dump on the people around you.
Yeah.
And so I think that I've been, without realizing it, preparing myself for a long time.
Yeah,
And
that's very true. So your background, you're a 7th generation Kansan? Oh, wow, that's awesome. So did you grow up on a farm, or were your parents very political or activists in some sort?
Well, I grew up in north central Kansas, in a really rural part of the state, a little tiny town called Palmer. And my family, most of them were farmers. My parents didn't farm, but we did live on an old farm. And so I was around the farming community. Everybody, you know, my neighbors were my cows. That was just life. And so, but one of the interesting things about the way I grew up was my dad was a doctor and my mom was a nurse. We lived in, obviously, this really rural part of the state where there wasn't a lot of access to medical care. And so very often people would call us, or just sometimes show up on our doorstep and say, someone's having a baby, they're not going to make it to the hospital, somebody's had a stroke at the cafe, somebody smashed their finger on a piece of farm equipment, can you come? And my parents would always come and help, because it's the right thing to do for your neighbors. And that's just how I grew up. It's not about politics or parties. We just, we take care of each other.
I agree. So lastly, earlier in our previous conversation, we talked about the young voters on campus. And I looked at the issues between you and your opponent, Jim. So if I am a young voter and I'm kind of on the fence, and I'm like, do I want to vote for you, or do I want to vote for Jim? What would you say if you could talk to a young person and maybe, you know, give them something to help them decide to vote for you?
To anybody, really, regardless of age, do you want somebody that's just going to kind of toe the line, sometimes vote for things the right way, depending on public pressure, because that's, to be honest, kind of what he's done, or do you want somebody that's going to get out there and really fight for you? Whether or not I win tomorrow, I'm still going to be in Topeka in January fighting for the things that I think we need for the state. I don't think that's true of my opponent, because I never saw him before 2 years ago when he was elected, and I'm going to be there. So one way or another, we're going to get it done.
I like that. So where can people go to find more information about you?
You're welcome to go to my website. It's perryforkansas.com. And then check your polling location. All you have to do is go to Google, just say Kansas, find polling location, and there's a plug-in right now that'll help you figure out where to go vote.
All right. Okay, Thea Perry, everyone, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Where you go to college makes a statement about you. This place will become a part of you, your identity for life. The University of Kansas, a great place to be you.
Our search is already
Welcome
underway.
back. I'm Jacob with your
I'm excited
Tuesday
by the
Good Morning KU
wide-ranging
Sports Update.
interest we.
Saturday's 27-3 loss to Iowa State has now officially cost head coach David Beatty his job. Kansas Athletic Director Jeff Long announced on Sunday night that Beatty would not be returning next year. In his fourth season as the head coach of the Jayhawks, Beatty's record is just 6-39 and just 2-31 in the Big 12 Conference. Long addressed the search for a successor last night.
It's not always easy being a dad.
Do you have panda asthma too?
Our search is already underway. I'm excited by the wide-ranging interest we've already received, and I anticipate receiving in the days and weeks ahead. After tonight, I will not comment further on the search until we introduce a new head football coach for our program. In the meantime, I continue to support these coaches, our student athletes, and our program as we head down the final 3 games of the season.
Both the men's and women's basketball teams finished up their exhibition games with perfect 2-0 records. The men defeated Emporia State and Washburn, while the women knocked off Fort Hays State and Washburn. The regular season begins tonight when the men meet 10th-ranked Michigan State in the State Farm Champions Classic. The game will be on ESPN with a 6 p.m. tip-off from Indianapolis. The volleyball team has welcomed back setter Cameron Ennis with 2 straight victories. KU lost 3 straight matches while Ennis was out with an ankle injury, but has now beaten West Virginia and Texas Tech in her return. The Jayhawks will next play conference-leading Texas in Austin on Saturday. The swimming and diving team defeated Nebraska 152-146 this weekend in Lincoln. KU earned 7 individual wins, including the final event of the meet, the 400-yard freestyle relay. The Jayhawks will host the 6th annual Kansas Classic November 16th through 18th in Topeka. The rowing team wrapped up its fall season with 4 top 3 finishes at the Tulsa Fall Invitational this weekend. The KU Novice 8 won its 2nd race in a row, while the Varsity 8 finished 3rd overall. And a special shout out to Miranda, who is operating our teleprompter today. She's a member of that Novice 8 team who won this weekend. The men's golf team spent the weekend in Hawaii and finished in the top 10 at the Canopy Collegiate Classic. Jake Scarrow shot a 7-under par 135 to finish in a 9th place tie. The soccer team learned of its fate yesterday afternoon during the NCAA selection show. The Jayhawks will host St. Louis.
It's not always easy being a dad.
Park. Kickoff time will be at 7 p.m. The winner of that match will play the winner of the Howard, North Carolina.
Is that my voice?
And that will wrap it up for today's sports update. Up next is Madison with the weather.
For students searching for a way to stay active in an outdoorsy way, the City of Lawrence has bike trails running in every direction, and with the new bike share program, we can stay in shape as we tour the sights of our beautiful city. Clinton Lake is only a short 30-minute bike ride away from Daisy Hill and has the most incredible sunset location in all of Lawrence. Walking campus may give you the KU calves, but biking can give you the KU thighs. Bike Lawrence today.
Welcome back on this beautiful day. The weather could not be better for a day to get out and vote. You know, as you see behind me right now, we've got some partly cloudy skies and everybody's out in their sweatshirts and jackets because it's a bit chilly. And things aren't going to be changing much this week, and they're not going to be changing much as we move through the day. So, all right. So today we're seeing temperatures of around 51 right now. And it's only going to get cooler as we move through the day. We've got winds of 14 to 18 miles per hour coming from the south and a 40% chance of precipitation as we move into this afternoon. Now, this afternoon is going to be where things get interesting because from 3 to 7, we're going to start seeing some storms move through. They're in the Topeka area right now, and as we move through today, they'll be heading in our direction. So by 4 and 5, we're going to see temperatures drop down into the 40s and 50s, and then by 7, we'll be down to 41. The polls close at 7 p.m., so if you're one of those that are taking your time to get to the polls today, bring an extra jacket because it is going to be cold by the time you get there. And into the rest of the week, that's where things are going to be pretty different. The past few weeks we've been seeing temperatures of 50s and 60s, but now we're seeing highs of 40s through most of the week, and even a chance of snow on Thursday. Now we're going to need to keep an eye on that as we move through tomorrow into Thursday because, again, it's still only November and things could change. but still something to be aware of. And then as we move through the week, we're going to have our first chance for a freeze overnight tomorrow night. And we could see that pretty much the rest of the week. So we could get a pretty hard freeze this week that could result in killing some of these bugs that have been hanging around. And, you know, today is the day to vote. So if you're heading out and you're trying to find your polling location, there are over 77 locations in Douglas County. And if you want more information on where to find those, go on to www.douglascountykansas.com. I have the link there on the slide. But yeah, so I hope you all have a wonderful day. Going out, enjoying this weather, enjoying the cool weather as it starts to feel more like winter. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will be back this time next week. Bye.